Their stock is exploding, and it's a lot going on with that. So let me go ahead and show you what's happening out here in these streets, and then we're going to go from there.
Did Nvidia justify the rally we've seen in these stocks and the broad market? Let's bring in Deepwater Asset Management's Gene Munster, get some thoughts. Gene, a lot of four-digit targets around today. You got any problem with that?
I'm good with that, Carl. I think that we're going to see in excess of 1,000, probably a year, 2 years out here. But when I think about those price targets, I think it's important just to quickly step back and think about NVIDIA's business before we get too carried away. It's a boom and bust business. In the 3 quarters prior to this AI liftoff, the business was down on average 17% a quarter. That wasn't that long ago. The 3 quarters since then, of course, it's up 200% on average, which really the central question about those price targets comes down to what is NVIDIA's underlying growth? And I think the answer to that question comes to what do you think the outlook for AI is going to be? And I started my comments on a sober point related to this boom and bust, this scarring effect that their business has had on investors over the past 5 years. But my view forward is that those price targets are probably going to ultimately $1,000 plus prove to be conservative, because AI is just that big of a deal. The one nugget from NVIDIA's call last night, inference, is 40% of the GPU usage. That means that AI is actually being used. This is not hyperscalers building out infrastructure, crossing their fingers that something is going to come. We're already seeing adoption just a year into this, and we're at the very beginning. NVIDIA is going to benefit for this for a long time.
It's funny because NVIDIA stock is currently at $795 a share. I have a price target on it above $1,000 a share way before 2 years from now. I think NVIDIA stock is now valued at over a $2 trillion company. I think that NVIDIA's price target and their $1,000 plus per share is probably going to hit that well before the end of this year. I anticipate before 2025 that, based off of my own personal research, and you guys already know that this is a part of my portfolio, that NVIDIA stock is going to hit $1,000 per share before the end of 2025. Some people are predicting that it's going to hit it within the next 2 years. Some people are saying price targets of $900. I've seen them as high as $1,150. I think it's going to hit $1,000 before 2025. So that's an additional 20% increase. I think that NVIDIA is going to be one of the most valuable companies. If you see what's happening, and I'm not going to go into the stuff that we talk about inside of Stock Club, the incentive for the federal government themselves is to continue to embrace chip companies. Anybody that's in the chip business right now that is empowering every single thing that we have from a technology perspective. Now remember, if y'all go back and you look at the pandemic, everything was held up not because of supply chain issues, but because of the semiconductor chip shortage. They could not make enough chips. And when you see the money that's going out, right, we always talking about Ukraine, we always talking about Israel, but one of the things that we don't talk about is Taiwan. The border crisis and the funding for the border crisis is partly being held up by Taiwan, because the United States of America is in a war with Taiwan over semiconductor chips, based off of the idea, not just based off of AI, but based off of a technology war. The wars that we fighting is not on the ground. Even the war in Ukraine is a proxy war. It's not a war that's being fought on American soil. It's not a war that's really being fought by American soldiers. Everything is drones. Everything is technology. Everything is an acceleration into how can we continue to stay ahead of whatever is happening in other countries from a technological perspective. So when you start to have these conversations and you look at, okay, listen, when they're securing funding and they're leveraging our borders in order to secure funding for what? You can say Ukraine, oh man, they want, $60 billion more money. You can say Israel, oh my God, we continue to send, materials and resources and funding over to Israel. Taiwan is the play. Taiwan is the play. When you see all of these bills, when they passed the infrastructure bill, when they passed all of the bills that Biden passed during his administration, if you look at all of those bills, deeply buried within those bills is the CHIPS Act and the money that they're dispersing in order to incentivize them to do all of the chip factories and build all of the chip factories over in Texas. That's where a lot of people is moving over to Texas. Go to Austin, go all around southern Texas. It's all based off of getting people jobs, not so that they can work in these factories and bring back American jobs, but so that we can continue to fund and funnel money into making sure that we stay technologically more advanced when it comes to the semiconductor chip shortage or semiconductor chips in general. Why is ASML? We had this conversation. I should not even be talking about this. I've been preaching ASML for the last 4 to 5 years. I've been preaching and advocating and had this in my portfolio and has made so much money as being invested in ASML. What is ASML? ASML is the only company in the world that makes the machines that then can spit out the semiconductor chips. They're the ones that supply in the factories. The war between China and the United States of America based in Taiwan, some of it is rooted in the idea that people are stealing proprietary knowledge from ASML to try to go over to China and create their own manufacturing facilities. Right? When we start talking about this, we got to deep dive. We got to start understanding it. If you talking to somebody and they can't spit it out to you without doing no research, without going and looking at other articles, if they can't talk to you as fluid as I'm talking to you right now, which means that they're not really invested in it as much as you would like to see them invested in it, then you shouldn't take advice from them. Because they can't give you no insight. They can't give you no understanding. They can't really teach you how you can invest more effectively. They can't show you their portfolio and their returns on it. They're not making a long-term investment as far as 10 to 15 years down the line to see what this thing is going to turn into. Microsoft has been making money for people since the early 90s. Microsoft has made more millionaires than Jay-Z, more billionaires than the Jay-Z line. I'm being facetious. The Jay-Z line, I done made more millionaires than the Lotto did. They made millions. You know the line? Leo made millions. Beans will tell you if he wasn't in his feelings. Nvidia, Microsoft, if y'all not a part of Stock Club, if y'all not a part of the Patreon, if you guys did not watch the last video or the first video through the third or the fourth video, how many videos we did? 3 so far in Stock Club? 3 or 4? We're going into the next one next weekend. If y'all not a part of Stock Club, that's inside of the Patreon, in which I show you from a C student's perspective how to break this stuff down and why you should do your own research. The 8 things that I look for when I'm looking to invest in a company. What's the difference between publicly traded companies and why you shouldn't opt. Like if you're not getting into this information, if you're not a part of it during the live stream, it's re-uploaded, then you are missing out on so much money and so many resources. It saddens my heart. And when I say culture, I'm talking about not black people, not white people, not Asian people, but people that are not necessarily in the know, but has the capability and the business acumen to get there. And so when you get past the lingo, when you get past the stuff, and you get past your consumer spending, and when you get past being a consumer, and you start to make more informed decisions because you don't care about what other people think about you, but you care more about what you can pass on to your children or what's going to be able to take care of you. We don't have to depend on whether or not wait for Social Security to be there if we retire. That's a nice to have at this point. They stole that money out of our paycheck in order to run that Ponzi scheme called Social Security. We funded the people of yesteryear that didn't even put into it. You ain't got to wait for Social Security. You ain't got to beg Biden for a government loan. You don't have to say the system is set up against you. We all have access to be able to invest in what we want to invest in. Things that you normally wouldn't have access to, as far as companies that will be privately held, you have the ability to invest in these companies and then let your money continue to compound over a period of time based off of being informed and being intentional. There's no system that's preventing you or setting you up that's trying to gatekeep an opportunity from you. We've been getting money like this for a long time. We've been running it up for a long time. Remember when they was laughing at me when Anton was like, yo, I'm about to go and get a regular job. Do you know that I have not spent one check and I've been killing it, busting down crazy bags from my regular everyday job, and the very ones that's laughing is begging Biden for student loan forgiveness, and every single dime that I've gotten from that job, do you know that it's just been reinvested back into itself and it continues to compound over a period of time and has made me more money than I ever could have made just passively throwing in money into something or doing stock options, you're not prevented from being able to be successful. All you doing is preventing yourself. Everything that we do is a self-inflicted wound. Everything that we're doing is a self-inflicted wound. You got to be intentional. So instead of going getting paying for a chick so that she can use instead of taking that chick to Roof Chris, go and invest it in dollar cost average into the thing that's going to make you rich for the rest of your life. Real talk. Dollar cost average. It's not even hard. You won't even miss the money. After a month, you won't even miss the money because it's almost like it's not there. You don't even see the money that come out of your paycheck when it comes to taxes. It's the same thing when it comes to your 401k, your Roth 401k, dollar cost averaging, go and open you up a brokerage account, start to become more informed, wait to invest your money, start to let that stack up, let it sit in a SPAX account until it starts to stack up to the point to where you better understand exactly where you want to allocate your monies, make informed decisions, have 5 to 6 different things, let's revise that. 3 to 6 different stocks that you love. I give you the blueprint for what you should look for. And then you can pick one that you want to have a long-term play with and start being a little bit riskier. For me, it's Rivian. My risky one is Rivian. I think that they are going to be at the forefront of a movement 10 years from now that has their stock exploding. I could be wrong. But again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the information and arming you with the resources so you can make a more informed decision. But if you're not even participating in the process, you're not even in the game, coach. You're not even in the game. You just looking and you just observing and you seeing the markets just multiplying. And you know how many people is actually getting rich while everybody else is just sitting on the sideline waiting? There's people that's really getting rich out here and you're just sitting on the sideline. I mean, rich. And all they doing is this. All they doing is looking at this. You can do it from this device right here, dollar cost average. Y'all get y'all paycheck and y'all go trick it off on some tricks, on some chicks, on some hair, on some food. You wake up you go get a bottle, you go get a section. They charge you 500% markup on the liquor that you buy inside of the club, and you ain't even got no money to show for it. Your daughter gonna be out here looking dusty on college campus, taking out student loans. Come on, man. We got to do better. That's quick hits, man. Real quick. That's quick hits.